if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die on my own terms. And that was like the turning point for me, that like I saw my daughter come into the room and she would see me there and she was just laying there and she had to call for help. I used to be a drug addict, really, really bad. Like I did all this kind of drugs. And one of my turning points was me almost dying because I was overdosed with coke and crystal and whatever, and getting taken to the hospital, my mom being there and crying, and then seeing my daughter just watching me. And I think that was like one of my turning points, because I know my daughter needed me. And I know I couldn't have done it without my mom and with God being there. And I know He has a plan for me. And I think the second one is also the same thing with alcohol, because like I abuse alcohol too, and I was to the point where like all I wanted to do was drink, and just like if it was gonna happen that day, it was gonna happen, like I just kind of gave up, and for me it was just like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die on my own terms. And that was like the turning point for me, that like I saw my daughter come into the room and she would see me there and she was just laying there and she had to call for help. So like that was another one. So like I think a lot of turning points for me was like drugs and alcohol, and like being abused and sexually abused and whatever kind of abuse, mentally and physically. I think those were like one of my turning points, that I wanted to do better, and I know I could have done better, taken better decisions for my life and the life of my daughter. But I was just so caught up in being satisfying me, and like not everyone else. One day I was this and one day I was that, and then I think it just took time for me to realize what I was doing was wrong. And like my family was there to help me a lot, and overcoming all this, because I feel like I couldn't done it. I couldn't be able to do it without them. I feel the grace of God too, because I feel like if He wasn't with me, He has a plan for me, and I know He does, because He could have just let me die and be like, okay, it's time for you to go. But I feel like I'm still here because He wants me to teach my kids to do better and not go through the same thing that I went. So I feel like the purpose of me being here right now and this earth is for like to just teach my kids from good and bad, that they're gonna need their mom, and I don't want them to go through the same thing that I went through. I want them to be different than me,